Hi, my name is Shannon, and today I am sitting in Estes Park, Colorado. I am on a little vacation with my family. We absolutely love Estes Park. It's in Rocky Mountain National Park. It's beautiful. We stay at the YMCA of the Rockies here with our family, and it's just so family friendly, lots of stuff for kids. If you haven't checked it out and love the mountains, you should. But I want to take a little break today to talk to you about kind of our story with how we ended up homeschooling, because that was definitely not my or my husband's original intent. I taught high school math at a private Christian high school for 7 years before my first daughter was born, and I loved it. I thought the school was awesome, and I just planned on sending our kids to a similar type of school when they were school age. So that time came around when my daughter was 3. I started thinking about preschool, and I had heard that preschools were competitive and you had to kind of be on it if you wanted them to go to, a certain kind of preschool. So I started looking into the preschools in our area. I knew I wanted a Christian preschool for my daughter. So I found a school that I thought would be really, really good. I knew a couple people who worked there, thought really highly of them and the school, and so I started the application process for my daughter, which was quite a process. Took a while. I did it as fast as I could because I knew if I didn't get her in soon enough, another kid would take her spot and we would miss the opportunity. So I did that, and thankfully she was enrolled, and I just felt this huge relief. Like, okay, I got my daughter into a great school. She's set. She could stay here for a while through high school if we wanted her to. And we were good. We didn't miss our chance at that. So got her enrolled, knew that that was the plan for the fall. And then God just started changing my heart with it. And it wasn't just one thing, it was several different things. One big way that God changed our course is through reading Sally Clarkson books. So if you haven't heard of Sally Clarkson, she is a huge mentor to me. I don't know her personally, but I've read so many of her books, and she is just amazing. She's an author, she does podcasts, she has a blog, she's done many, many conferences where she speaks to women about parenting and just very biblically based parenting philosophies and encouragement. She and her husband, that's their ministry, and they have touched so many lives. So I would highly encourage checking her out. I'll link some of her books below that have really, that I've really enjoyed. But she and her husband homeschooled their 4 children. And so while only some of her books are specifically about homeschooling, just reading any of her books and listening to her, it's definitely trickled into her stuff because that was a huge part of their life. And so I just learned and saw the benefits of homeschooling in their family as I've read their books and followed her. So that was one big thing, one big way that God kind of started me thinking about homeschooling. Another thing is I have a couple friends who homeschool also, and just so talking to them, and one of my friends, I even shadowed her a little bit. I went to her house and just kind of watched her as I started thinking more about this. And I think just that helped it become not such a foreign thing to me and helped me see, hey, anybody can do this who wants to. So that was really helpful. And also, I am a teacher. I got my degree in secondary education in mathematics. Like I said, I taught at high school before I had kids, and I love teaching. And I was actually at the time teaching an Algebra 2 course online through a school called Memoria Press Academy. It's a great school. A lot of homeschool kids actually use their program to take certain classes. So I was working for them, and at the time I was just teaching one class because I was at home with my kids and that's all I could manage. And I planned to teach more classes as my kids went to school. And it hit me just kind of one day, like, why would I invest my time and energy in teaching other people's kids when I could use that time and energy to just teach my own and not send them away to some other school when I could just be with them and teach them? It just kind of was this light bulb moment for me, like, why am I doing that? Because that was my plan for a while. Is okay, I'm going to add more classes as I have time and my kids go to school, and yeah, it just didn't make sense to me anymore. So all these things were just making me think about homeschooling more, but I still have my daughter enrolled in this preschool, so I wasn't really sure what to do with all that. And then one day, I remember so vividly, I looked at my email and saw an email from the preschool, and it said, you only have 2 days to buy the uniform clothes for your daughter for next year. You have 2 more days to do that. And that is so not my personality to put something like that off. I'm such a type A personality, and normally I would do something like that right away, take care of it. Anything that I need to purchase for her schooling, I would have done a while ago. But I realized I hadn't been able to bring myself to purchase uniform clothes for her. And even though I knew I still only had 2 days to do that, I still couldn't do it. I could not bring myself to purchase those clothes for her. And so it really hit me then, okay, like, God is not wanting us to pursue this because I can't bring myself to do this. And this is so not how I work. So that's when I talked to my husband more, and we agreed, okay, this is just not God's plan for us. Nothing against the school, but it was obvious that God was leading us towards homeschooling. So I called the preschool and terminated my daughter's enrollment. I lost some money in doing that, which is usually not our style, but I knew for sure it was not the right thing. And a couple days later, I went to a Bible study I was in and mentioned all this to the women in that Bible study. And one of the women said, you need to check out Classical Conversations. I had never heard of it, but the preschool that we had enrolled my daughter in was a classical education school. So I knew at least enough about classical education to know I was a fan. And so I signed up for, more information with Classical Conversations. They contacted me. I talked to a really nice woman about it. She just kind of gave me the rundown on what they're about, what they do, and I was just instantly sold. And I didn't really know anything else. I just knew, hey, I want to homeschool, and I don't really know anything, and I need some guidance, and hey, here's this group, and I could join a community nearby and get some help with this. So sounds like a great idea. So I committed for that year, and I actually ended up tutoring the ABCdarians, and because my daughter was in that crew, and I just fell in love with it. I love their curriculum. I love the community days. I love how they get to do a science experiment and some fine arts together. I love that they do a presentation each week. I mean, there's so many things I instantly loved about it. And I loved starting when my kids were young. I felt zero pressure of like, okay, we need to do this and this and this at home. We did do some stuff, but very little because they're so little, and mostly we just read together and played together. But we listened to the songs that Classical Conversations does a lot, so they actually learned a ton of history and other things through those songs and loved the songs. And I just kind of got to get to know that community and watch other moms doing it and just see what it was like without the added pressure of thinking I needed to do this and this and this and this with my kids each day. So that is kind of how we ended up with Classical Conversations, ended up homeschooling. It's been a journey, and there is no other way I would want to go. I'm so thankful that God led us to this, and my hope and prayer is that we get to continue doing this for just as many years as God allows. And I plan to stay with Classical Conversations. I love what they're about. I love the resources they provide, and I love being part of a group where if we were to move, we could join another group anywhere in the nation or even international. We don't plan to move international, but you never know what God will do. And we can still find a community and be a part of the same thing. So I really love that. I also would have found it really overwhelming as a new homeschool mom to have to figure out what curriculum are we going to use for history, for English, for Latin, for science, for all those things. So one thing I really appreciate about Classical Conversations is they have all that in their curriculum, and they go through cycles. So they have 3 different cycles. Each cycle focuses on a different part of history, a different part of geography, different English, different Latin, and then all I supplement with is I find our own math curriculum, and I do additional language arts stuff. So I am doing a reading curriculum with my daughter right now, but that's it. Other than that, I just use Classical Conversations, their curriculum. So I go by what they say for our history and English and Latin and science. I think I'm remembering everything. So I love that. That's just huge and just a big stress relief. Honestly, it would be really hard, I feel like, to find all those other curriculums. And then, sometimes you might change your opinion about one and want to do it something new. But what I've found with Classical Conversations is it's extremely well done, very polished. And I love that they go around. So they do 3 cycles and then they repeat. And so if your kid is in Classical Conversations long enough, they'll repeat each cycle 2 or 3 times. And so that's just huge for learning. Obviously, you go back and then you can go deeper into those things each time as your children get older. So I hope this is helpful. I just wanted to share a little bit about our story and why we ended up homeschooling and choosing Classical Conversations. So please let me know if you have any questions, or comment below with if you're on the fence with homeschooling, if you have any fears about homeschooling, if you've chosen a different path with homeschooling other than Classical Conversations. I would love to hear, and I'm curious. So I hope this encourages you and is helpful. And if you've enjoyed my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I'm posting 2 new videos each week related to homeschooling, parenting, encouragement, and some health-related things. So have a wonderful rest of your day.